Welcome to this video tutorial. This is green crime and globalisation. As always, massive thank you for watching. If you like it, please click like. If you've got any questions, please comment below or email. And lastly, of course, subscribe if you want to get new videos as they are posted. So here is a question that I'll be discussing today. 2 ways that globalisation and green crime may be related. Of course, using the item. So just a quick reminder of what the 10-mark question is, as it appears on all 3 papers. So 50 minutes to answer, 7.5 minutes per paragraph, 2 balanced paragraphs. Read the item carefully, provide the hooks, quote them. The hooks are placed for you to develop your knowledge and look for the question hooks also. This will give you further opportunity to show application of knowledge. So back to the question and the item that we're discussing. I have a feeling it's from Keith Trobe. I can't quite remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have got this from somewhere and I think it is from Keith Trobe. Anyway, basically the question is asking you to show your understanding of how globalisation and green crime are related using the prompts or the hooks from the item to help you explain. A key to answering this question is understanding what globalisation is and how we can explain it. And by understanding the definition and the examples given, we'll give you a bit of an idea about how they link to green crime and why they occur in the context of globalisation. According to Held and others, globalisation is the widening, deepening, speeding up of worldwide interconnectedness in all aspects of life, from cultural to the criminal, the financial to the spiritual. And as we know it's occurring because of information technology, the role of the global mass media. We've got transnational corporations, cheaper air travel, deregulation of industry, competition, migration, movement of businesses to other countries where the profits are greater. And it's often useful to think of some transnational corporations that have done some of these things, such as Amazon, McDonald's, Apple, sports brands, for example, Nike, of course, comment how do you pronounce it? Is it Nike or Nike? Adidas or Adidas? As just a few examples. According to South, green crime can be split into 2. These are primary green crimes, and then we have got these 2 which are secondary green crimes. And your job in this answer is to show an example of how green crime is linked to the process of globalisation. Using a student to answer, just to give you a little bit of an idea, what I'm going to do is go through this answer and give some suggestions in order to improve it as well, and it will just give you a bit of an idea about the structure. So what I love about this item is that it starts with the item, this answer, and it quotes that explicitly. Now there's no hard or fast rules where that item needs to be, as long as it is referenced somewhere in the item. It can be at the beginning, the middle or the end. That is fine. What I would suggest is that you want to make it as easy as possible for the examiner to mark your work. So by quoting it, they can immediately write on item hook 1. Okay. Then the student also says this means, and that's a lovely sentence starter because that suggests that the student is going to do something. They're going to interpret this quote, or they're going to apply some knowledge. They're going to add on to it to show that they understand it. So going through this answer. So environmental damage is related to human activities. This means that everyday regular people are contributing to green crime. We're following the student's logical chain of reasoning now. This is through consumerism. There's high demands for the products. The businesses tap onto that demand. They want to make as much profit as possible. To do this, they outsource to the cheapest areas of the world. And here's the cheeky link to the question. It is linked to globalisation because the world is more interconnected. This results in the exploitation of some areas, such as in India, where Coca-Cola, should be capital letters there because that is my bad. That is a name. Use most of the water that farmers relied on for their agriculture. And then we've got the AO3 at the end. So nice structure this student has got, clear item, clear explanation, links to globalisation, links to an example of a green crime as well. Now, what I would suggest is that some of the analysis is a little bit thin. It could do with a little bit more sociological theory in it. So this student could talk about traditional criminologists. So, for example, simply having factories in some areas, like Coca-Cola having their factories in India, is not really a crime in itself. Some sociologists would argue that environmental crime being an unauthorised act or a mission that violates the law, and Coca-Cola does not do this really explicitly. But other sociologists, such as White, would disagree, because the actions of Coca-Cola, because of the process of consumerism, is clearly harming the physical environment, even if no law has been broken. And that little bit of addition would allow the student to analyse the impact of human activities because of a process of globalisation. Another well-structured paragraph, again, starts with the item quoted explicitly at the beginning. I've underlined it for you, and then doing that interpretation. This is what this means. So it doesn't respect national borders. Green crime can occur anywhere. It isn't one place's responsibility, and that's the problem with it. Here's the example: marine pollution. This is linked to globalisation, as travel is easier and countries often travel for trading. This could link to marine pollution, and then we can trace it back to examples such as the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. This has harmed the ocean as well as the species within it. And then again, here's the analysis. The problem is it a crime? Is it a harm? And harm is a subjective definition, because different people view harm differently, and who is responsible for it. Different countries, companies will disagree. The added sociology that this paragraph would benefit from is that you could discuss back the idea of manufactured risk. So, for example, producing the oil that many rely on for cars, for other transport. The risk involved may include the harm to the environment, as in the case of the BP oil disaster, and the impact on the fishing community, the ecosystem, the threats to marine life, and the 100 miles of coastline that was impacted because of this. And it does transcend, it transgresses the traditional boundaries of what a crime is. In the basic definition of it. They could have added theory here. You could compare the green criminology to the traditional criminology and talk about semiology and the study of harm, would show a bit more added understanding to this question. So just to review, your paragraph should include your item hook, your knowledge about the hook, keyword studies and theories, application to the item, do use the wording from the question to show that you're answering it, and any analysis or evaluation. I just thought I'd add on to this as well, other types or other points that you could consider. This is the item quote, and different examples that you could have talked about as well, just to give you some more ideas. So we've got the Bhopal gas disaster. So this is a traditional criminology, because clear laws were broken, health and safety was breached, failures to follow the proper maintenance procedure that led to leaked cyanide gas. Over 500,000 people were exposed, leaving an estimated 20,000 deaths. Bhopal is in India, but the factory was owned by a US company, and you could even consider the reasons why they had the factory in India rather than in the US. Another example could be due to global warming, and we can use the example of Mozambique. So through the cars that we drive, the emissions from transport and factories, that all contributes to global warming. This is a green crime, because it might not necessarily be breaking any laws, and basically what happens with this one is it led to heat waves and fires, damaging crops, which in turn resulted in the price of grain being raised, and this does impact the poorer countries because they can't afford it. It led to food shortages, could lead to riots in the case of Mozambique, drought, poverty, and can lead to famine. Final example could be another green crime, which is deforestation, the clearing of land for plantations to produce large industrial farms which supply to companies stated, so like McDonald's, Nestle, HSBC. So the companies stated may not directly impact the rainforest, but they use companies and suppliers that do. And we've got this discussion to be had, who should have the responsibility of deforestation if you look back. Okay, so this video tutorial has showed you that you can apply material from the item to do the globalisation and the green crime to show how they are interlinked. But massive thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, or more importantly feel that you've benefited from it, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. And can you tell I've got new headphones and mic? I think this sounds a lot clearer than some of my other videos. Thank you for watching.